The Seattle Seahawks, the Chicago Bears are playing each other today, plus 3 college football games and a whole slate of NBA. I'm Lawrence Presman. You're watching the best daily sports betting show on the planet, WagerTalk Today. And we've got an amazing lineup. Ross Benjamin, he's going to be the first guest. He's going to take apart the Rate Bowl. I'm curious where they got their name from, but that's a different story. We're also going to look at the Armed Forces Bowl. That's an easy one, folks. And we're going to start with the Seahawks versus the Bears. The doctor of props, Andy Lang, coming on after that. He's got some prop bets for us, and we're going to end the show with Gianni The Greek. Ross Benjamin, welcome to Wager Talk Today. How are you, my friend?
Yeah, I'm great. Always a pleasure to be with you guys, and I hope you had a Merry Christmas, Prez, and Merry Christmas all the people out there who are watching.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Ross, it was merry. I don't specifically know what merry means. It's a word only used before the word Christmas. But I will tell you this. I watched Gladiator on Christmas, and that was the 4th time I've seen that movie. The first time I've seen it in at least 2 or 3 years. And I'm going to officially vote that movie as the single best movie ever of all time, period. And I think Russell Crowe laid down a performance for the ages. So that's what and then another suggestion to everybody. Guys, if you have kids or you have a couple coming over, there is a board game called Code Names. It is spectacular. I mean, it is so goddamn fun. It's unbelievable. Code Names. And it is not owned by my brother's company. So this is not a plug. Ross Benjamin. So
Yes.
that's that. Let's get into some actionable betting information. So originally we had an opening line that lasted a minute of -1.5 on Seattle. Then it went to 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5. And now it is at 4. We got a total here of 42. And man, I'm struggling with this game. Obviously, people can make an argument for Seattle, given that there is still a pathway, although it is small. This is one of those games that worries me. How are you betting this one?
Yeah, too much money on Seattle, too much of a line move, and I do not have the guts at this particular juncture in time to even take the points with the Chicago Bears team that's lost 9 in a row. So I'm going to look at Seattle's team total, Prez. I mean, this is a Chicago team that's allowed 30-plus points in each of their last 3 games, 405 yards allowed in 4 of their last 5 contests. And Seattle, I don't think a lot of people realize this is a much better team on the road than they are at home. As a matter of fact, the Seahawks have gone 5-1 straight up on the road, scored 20-plus points in all 6 of those games, and averaged 27 points per contest in those 6 road games. Now, the weather is always a concern when you play in Chicago. And, again, it's a bit of a concern tonight. But I'm not going to let that get too caught up with that, I guess I'm trying to say. As the wind conditions about 8 to 9 miles an hour, there will be gusts of up to 25 miles an hour, 17% chance of rain, but no snow, So I think Seattle will be able to go over this total of 23.5 and do so in an easy manner. I just don't have the confidence to take the points with Chicago, nor am I willing, like I said, Prez, to lay the 4 after the opening number you alluded to, how much it's moved. And then when you look at the splits on how much money has been bet and the volume of bets, it heavily favors the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, and it makes sense. Right now we're in the middle of that time period where it's like, take the Chargers. They need to win against New England. Take the Rams. All these must-win teams, and everyone's going to flock on them. And I'll tell you guys right now, You write a list of every must-win team going into this weekend in NFL, and I will make a statement. More than 50% of them will not cover the spread. More than 50%. Write them down and take a look and remember that for next year. And speaking of that, Russ, before we get into the armed forces and the rate bowl, do you keep notes like that? Do you go back and say, how did the last week of NFL 2023 end? What mistakes did I make, on the second last week of the basketball season? Do you keep notes that go back that far? And I'm not talking about back in the Abacus days when you were like 10.
Yeah.
I'm talking about recent notes.
I'm glad you brought the Abacus days up. Back when I was 10, back then there was no face mask players were wearing. But in any event, you always bring that up, and I appreciate that.
I
Golden
love
age of
you,
today.
Russ.
I know you do. Anyway, yeah, it's a good point, Prez, because I physically don't write those notes down, but mentally, it's always in the back of my mind. And before I even became part of Wager Talk, when I did shows on another network, I would always tell people, be careful. Just because a team needs to win the game more doesn't necessarily mean they're going to win, let alone cover. Because if you're in a situation like this, Seattle and Chicago, obviously Seattle needs a game more. Chicago's lost 9 games in a row. They're playing out the string. That doesn't mean it's an automatic lock that Seattle's going to cover this game. I mean, they could win the game by 3 points or less, too. So good point, Prez. And people should be aware of that. And anybody who just blindly takes teams that need the game more than the other team, if you hit 50%, you're probably lucky. If you exceed that, you're not going to be much more than 51 or 52% over the long haul.
Ross Benjamin joining us, everyone. One of the best handicappers alive, and a guy we are lucky to have, an exclusive handicapper over at Wager Talk. And clearly, you did not love my Abacus joke, which is totally reasonable. I understand. Man, I tease you all the time, Ross. But I heard an incredible line. I'm watching a show called Lioness, Ross. It's a Taylor Sheridan show. It's really, really good. The second season is unbelievable. And there is an old soldier, and he says, beware of the old soldier. There's a reason he is old.
Exactly.
I think that's one of the smartest
beware
lines.
of the old handicapper, right? Because he's got to this point for a reason.
Exactly. I am jealous of you, Ross Benjamin. Okay.
Let's not get carried away with this, Prez.
Right.
I appreciate what you're trying to say.
I was trying to make up for the old man joke. Fair enough. Okay, Ross. Let's go. Let's talk this rate bowl. I don't rate. Listen, I'm Canadian. Maybe there's some big company in America named Rate. I don't know, but whatever. Who cares? We got Kansas State, winners of 1 of their last 4, -7 playing Rutgers, winners of 3 of their last 4. A total here of 51.5. This game goes today at 5:30 Eastern time. How should we bet it?
I think we should bet it by looking at the total in this game. Because this is a Rutgers team that's just inconsistent. They start out 4-0, Prez. They normally start out fast, right, because they play a soft non-conference schedule. Then they get into the Big Ten, and they tail off. And this year was no different, with the exception they won 3 of their last 4 to finish 7-5. They won 4 in a row to start the year. They lose 4 in a row in the middle part of their schedule or the second half of their schedule, and then they finish the year winning 3 of their last 4. Kansas State, on the other hand, 7-1 to start the year, and as Prez alluded to, they lost 3 of their last 4. Again, did not finish on a high note. On top of that, This is a Kansas State team that will be playing without their star running back, DJ Giddens, who ran for 1,343 yards this year. Also scored 8 total touchdowns, also without wide receiver Jerron Tibbs and Keegan Johnson, who combined for 54 receptions and 664 yards. So they're going to be losing some offensive production to the transfer portal or injury, whatever the case may be. And this is a Rutgers team that only averages 4.4 yards per rush this year. And Kansas State only allows 3.5 yards per rush. So losing those receivers and also the fact that Kansas State's very good against the run makes it a difficult task for the Rutgers offense, in my estimation. Rutgers quarterbacks this year, Prez, 54.8% completion rate. Not very good at all. Kansas State, not much better. I mean, 58.6%, and over their last 3 games, when, as you alluded to, when they went into that tailspin, their quarterbacks only completed 53% of their passes. So I'm going to go under here, Prez. I'm going to go Rutgers, Kansas State under the total of 51.5.
You know, and Ross, when I'm listening to you talk, even before you said the under, I was thinking Ross likes the under in this play, and it does make sense as well, the under. We do have a couple of people in the chat room that disagree with you and like the over, but that is why there's a line, because some people think one way and others think the other way. So we've got a game.
If I could interject, I will say this for those who oppose me: that's your right to do so. But just remember, folks, pretty good in college football, 139 and 104 over the last 2 years. And that's a net profit of $10,577. So fade me at your own risk is all I can tell you.
Wow, Ross, mic drop there, using an opportunity to promote. So, guys,
shameless, right?
Ross.
I learned that from Steve Merrill.
No. Well, Steve Merrill sits on the Mount Rushmore of promotion. Steve Merrill, I hear he's in talks to do Flex Seal. You remember Flex Seal? Anyway, Ross Benjamin joining us. Ross, one more game to talk about, and that game is the Armed Forces game. This game goes on Friday. Really curious what you're going to do here. We've got Oklahoma, which is one of the finest parts of our armed forces, just a beast on the battlefield, against Navy. So how do we handicap this game, Ross? I can't hear Ross Benjamin talking. Ross is muted, everybody. So what do we do here? Prez needs to make a quick adjustment. Okay. There we go. Prez is doing... Justin P. does miss Teddy, though, Dan. He misses Teddy's sharp follow-up questions. I feel like... And Dan, put your mic on here. Is that a slight at my follow-up questions?
I don't know if it's a slight, but Teddy did have, how you say, je ne sais quoi about the way that he would follow up with folks, well, and usually his ability to pick apart their play and make them question why they're doing it was really what Teddy brought to the table.
Yeah, and little does Justin and the rest of the people know, but a lot of handicappers were not in love with Teddy's follow-up questions.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes,
You're
Ross
good, Ross.
Benjamin back. Ross,
right,
I was just going to tell everybody, no, dude, it happens. B Daddy misses Teddy. I miss Teddy too. Not a lot, like a real little amount, but like Ross, Oklahoma. How you betting this game?
Teddy definitely he asked some very good questions as follow-up questions. So integral part of the success of the show, like yourself, Prez. Oklahoma Navy, is that what we're going to discuss right now?
Yeah, Armed Forces Bowl tomorrow, noon Eastern. Let's go.
All right. So what I was going to say is the last time I discussed the Navy game, they were playing Army. I took Navy in Prez disagreed with me because they said the game is being played on land, and Army fights on land and Navy fights in the water. So anyway, so much of that. Anyway, Oklahoma only a 3-point favorite in this game. I say only because, look, I mean, public perception is going to look at this game and say, Oklahoma, a team from the SEC, playing a military academy, and they're only a 3-point favorite. Well, there's good reason for that, because Oklahoma just got decimated by the transfer portal. The Navy midshipmen 9-3 this year. Oklahoma's 6-6. Everybody's going to point to the fact, well, they just recently beat Alabama and cost Alabama a playoff spot. Well, that's great. But, you know, they also lost 5 of their last 6 games against FBS opponents, and the only win in that sequence was against Alabama. So don't get caught up with one result. Don't get caught up at this time of year because Oklahoma plays in a power conference and Navy doesn't, because there's a lot of underlying factors here. The bottom line is Navy is a very good running team. And it's a style of offense that Oklahoma hasn't seen all year. Granted, they have a couple more weeks to prepare for it. However, you know, this Navy team's not bad. I mean, they got blown out by Notre Dame like Army did. And Notre Dame's pretty good the last I checked. But they also beat 2 ranked teams this year. They beat Memphis, and they also beat Army, who's ranked number 21 as we speak. So this is a very good Navy team. Again, if they're playing Oklahoma with a full deck, meaning Oklahoma's full deck, it's another different story. There's a reason why this opened at 9 and came down to 3. It didn't come down because it's money generated. It came down because of all the players that Oklahoma lost in the transfer portal. A lot more important game than Navy than it is to Oklahoma as well. Navy's got an opportunity after missing bowl games for 4 consecutive years. They not only made a bowl game, but they got an opportunity to win 10 games in the season, which is a big deal for a military academy. In Oklahoma, I don't know how psyched an SEC team could be at this time of year when you had higher aspirations to begin the year and you have to finalize the season in a bowl game by facing the military academy. I'm going to take Navy here, plus the 3, Prez, over Oklahoma.
There you go, everybody. Ross Benjamin, he likes Navy in the Armed Forces Bowl. He likes K-State, right?
Under.
K-State in the
Under.
And then you like the over in the Seattle team total. Ross,
yes.
We've got an incredible promotion going, 25% off of any package from any handicapper. It is our holiday promotion. Why should people use it on you?
Well, I mean, I just told you what my record is in college football since November 26th of 2022, and that's good for number 1 in money earned in college football at WagerTalk, which to me is a big feather in my cap because there's some all great handicappers at WagerTalk, including the Prez in my college football postseason as well. Since 2022, I'm 31-16. That includes 5-1 this year. My college football this year is pretty good too. I mean, 54-36, 60%. So you know, NBA sides up over $11,000 over the last year and a half. College basketball on a 60% run. Football 4% plays, 54-27 run. So yeah, there's a lot of reasons why you should invest a little bit in me to make a lot, Prez. And I appreciate you having me on again, buddy.
Yeah, and Ross, for the record, I've invested a lot in you. You're incredible. Thanks for joining us, brother.
Thank you, buddy. Merry Christmas to everybody.
You too. Ross Benjamin, everyone. Guys, I also want to keep on this holiday offer. This is a really great offer. 25% off any package you guys want, daily, weekly, monthly. And I just want to say, last night I went 2-2. I lost my college basketball play by a missed free throw, literally at the end of the game. He hits that free throw, I go 3-1. I also had the over in the Baltimore Ravens game, which lost But had you have told me one team was going to get over 30, I would take that bet all day long. The point I'm making is I'm 20-13 since Friday, and I really, truly, sincerely feel like I'm about to break out. I mean, break out. I've got a college football play today plus 2 NBAs. I got a 5% college football play going on Saturday. I got 4 college football plays in the next few days. My Saturday NFL card is the biggest it's been all year. 4 plays in 3 games. Plus, I've got NHL, college basketball. My college basketball is insane. Buy the next 7 days of me. Use that $25, holiday 25. Just buy the next 7 days of my plays. That's all I'm asking from you guys. 7 days. Let's see how I do over the next 7 days, because I am about to explode on the W side. Andy Lang joining us, everyone. And Andy, we got to talk about that trend yesterday. We just got to. I said we weren't going to, but we got to. Before that, how are you, bro?
Okay. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, talk about it.
So I'm on Twitter, and I bump into a handicapper that is not part of the WagerTalk team, and he put up a video where he woke up really, really early in the morning and went back into his database. He went to the lab. He went to his lab, and in his lab was his database. And in his database, he searched all the way back to 1986, which just coincidentally happened to be the year he was born. And he found that coaches with the first name that starts with a vowel and the second name starts with a consonant are 69% on Christmas Day. So if his first name starts with a vowel and his second name starts with a consonant, that team against the spread is 69%. So I was like, wow. I sent this trend to Andy. It won yesterday. Andy Reid, the only coach that has a first name vowel and a second name consonant. Andy, what do you think about a trend like that?
I don't. I don't. I don't care. It's 1986. What does that have to do with 2 plays in 2024? It's not even 70%. It's not even that impressive of a trend.
Well, it's over 70% now.
There's
Andy
a play
Reid covered yesterday.
There's a play today that's 24-0 in the NBA. 24-0. It has never, ever lost, and that happens tonight. Now, that is a trend that I'm interested in.
Well, are you going to give it out?
No, keeping that for me and clients.
Oh, well, there you go. Okay. Guys, what do you think about that trend? Is that trend worth remembering for next year? Andy, you got 2 NFL prop bets for us. Let's hear what they are.
Yeah, let's go through these real quick. DK Metcalf under 4.5 receptions. He just hasn't looked right since the injury. You can tell he's not 100%. He's gone under this in 10 out of 13 games this season. The big thing is 5 straight, though. And Bears, they're second at allowing receptions to wide receivers. They only allow 9.5 per game. That's because you can run all over the Chicago Bears team. Seattle's going to run. That's the plan of attack. And then with Smith and Jigba looking as good as he does, I just think DK Metcalf, this number is way too high. And then we'll look at Justin Herbert under 21.5 completions. He's only gone over this 2 games this season. And New England, here's another team that you run all over. They give up the 25th most rush attempts, 11th least completions. J.K. Dobbins is back. He's limited at practice, but you get J.K. Dobbins back. He gets some carries. Gus Edwards gets some carries. Chargers get up. I just expect this to be a pretty big rushing game with Herbert not having to throw the ball a ton. So DK Metcalf under receptions and Justin Herbert under 21.5 completions.
Andy Lang joining us, everyone. Andy, NBA prop bets. Jalen Johnson and Jabari Smith. Fill us in, bro.
Well, Jalen Johnson is an interesting case here because I was playing him earlier in the year to make over 1.5 3-pointers. He had that shoulder injury, and he has not been the same since. Under in 8 straight games. Before that, he went over in 12 out of 14. So what's happened? His attempts are way down. He averaged 5.1 in November. In December, he's only averaging 3.3, and he's shooting 19% this month. So his form is off. His attempts are way down. He's a lot more active cutting to the rim. If you watch Hawks games, you know you've been watching this happen. But this trend I'm going to keep playing because Jalen Johnson's he's in a shooting funk and he's not shooting that many. And then Jabari Smith over 1.5 made threes. He's kind of the opposite. Over in 11 out of the last 14 games, he's averaging 4.7 3-point attempts per game, and his shooting percentage has gotten a lot more consistent. At the beginning of the year, he was all over the place. Not so much these days. And the Pelicans, who he plays, are awful against the three. They give up 2.8 made threes against power forwards, 25th overall in 3-point defense. So looking at Jabari Smith over and Jalen Johnson under the made threes.
Andy Lang joining us. Andy, sorry.
Do you want me to? All right, here. You know what?
I'll
do it. I'll do it. 'Tis the season. All right. So here's the play that's 24-0. Bam Adebayo to not make a 3-pointer against the Orlando Magic. He's played the Orlando Magic 24 times in his career. He's never made a 3-pointer. He's 0 for 13 lifetime against the Orlando Magic. For whatever reason, Prez, when he plays the Orlando Magic, he cannot hit a 3-pointer. He's 0 for 6 in 2 games this year against them. So if you're looking for a play that is undefeated, 24-0 it's Bam Adebayo tonight.
And just to wrap all the trends up together, the Orlando Magic start with a vowel and end with a consonant.
True. So do the Atlanta Hawks. All the teams that start with a vowel. Yes. So.
Oh, Andy Lang. Love having you on, bro. Man, guys. So Andy is killing it. You're always killing it. Up 15 units the last 7 days, up 123 units this calendar season, calendar year, which ends soon. Up 213 units the last 2 years. And Andy has a 7-day all-access package for only $45. So please take advantage of that. Andy, brother, I love having you on. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for doing this, man.
Anytime, thanks.
So Mark A. writes, is Prez high today? Prez will be high today. Guarantee that one. But he is stone cold sober right now. Gianni The Greek joining us. How are you, my friend? You gonna have anyone scratching your back today? Me and my wife went over the video in slow-mo yesterday. It was stunning.
Babe, back scratch.
Yeah, babe, back, scratch the back, babe.
I've been busy, man.
Dude, I swear to God, we slow-moed the video. We're like, I know she comes back into the picture, and I think she scratches his back live on air. Listen, my woman, and Carmine has spoken about this live on air, my woman has done way worse live on air than scratch my back. I just want to get that out there. Way worse.
I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. That ain't a bad thing, brother. That's how you get the day started in the right way. That's how you start off the day.
So, dude, love having you on. Listen, let's start right now with Seattle, Chicago tonight. It's -4 now. Anybody who wanted to bet Seattle, they definitely are not going to get the best of the line. The total in this game is 42. Now, guys, I've laid out some nuggets this week. I mean, nuggets. I'm like, Green Bay team total over, take it. Psh, psh, psh. Money on me. I tell everybody, Kansas City, take it, money on me. The under in tonight's game. I love the under in tonight's game, Gianni. What are you seeing out there? What do you like?
I can't disagree with you. In fact, you're kind of fading what the money's coming in on from the recreational bettors. They're betting this game over. In fact, I haven't seen many under bets at all from the recreational bettors. Not surprising. That's how they usually bet these primetime standalone games. I agree with you 100%. As far as the Seattle side, here's what we know. The Bears have lost 9 straight games. They're playing for absolutely nothing other than being at home, and it's, the holiday weekend. Otherwise, there's really no reason to show up. It's not a revenge game. It's not a divisional game. They have nothing with Seattle. Other than, again, you've lost 9 straight games and you have all this pressure to finally win a football game. On the flip side, you have Seattle, who's coming in off back-to-back losses, but they find themselves in a must-win situation. And anytime that's the case, you're going to pay a premium. It doesn't mean you shouldn't bet it, but it means you have to have stronger conviction, because the sports books aren't going to give you any kind of discount, knowing everybody knows this team has to win. They're a game behind the Rams. They're right there for a wild card or a playoff spot or what have you, but they have to win these last 2 games and maybe have some things happen for them. And that's what you're paying for, because there's no power rating that's going to show Seattle a 4-point favorite over Chicago on the road. They should be about where it opened, about 2.5. But it's that must-win situation coupled with no reason for Chicago even to show up. Why you're paying for this. We saw it with Baltimore yesterday, or was it Christmas Eve? I don't even remember, where Baltimore ends up. You can't bet them late. I mean, you could, you cashed the ticket, but it wasn't a great bet because it was -3, -4, -5, -6. It got closed at -7. So again, if you had a -4 or 5 in your pocket, you could probably argue it was a good bet if it closes 7. But right now for Seattle, you need this to close 6 for you to lay 4 and say, hey, I got the best of it. Doesn't mean you shouldn't bet Seattle, but that's where the difficulty comes in this late in the season, and why I stress you have to be selective. I can tell you with certainty real quickly that is where the sharp money went. I can't tell you if they're going to keep the bet, but they did the same thing they did with Baltimore. They bet Baltimore at -3 right away, and they bet them in the first half, and they did the same thing with Seattle. They bet Seattle at -2, 2.5, and they bet Seattle at -2.5 in the first half as well. Are they going to keep it? Time will tell. If this line keeps climbing, I don't think so. I think you'll see a little bit of a take back for them to work a middle, but this is what you get towards the last 2 weeks of the season. They get it out ahead of the public, out ahead of those biases, and then after betting from a position of strength, you could decide, am I going to work a middle, or do I keep this bet since I have -2.5 in my pocket and the line's 4 right now? It's a good position to be in. I don't have an opinion on this bet at all, other than I like the Seattle first half bet. That makes sense to me because I think they're going to come out looking to beat this team up and win a football game, one behind the Rams. But I'm not too comfortable laying the 4 right now.
Gianni The Greek joining us, everyone. And Gianni, yesterday we spoke a lot about the fact that you're going to be changing your handicapping style. There's so much sport going on right now that I want to shelve that topic. But I want to go deep into it next week when we have some breathing room. I want to spend at least 10 minutes, 7-8 minutes discussing your new strategy, your new style. Maybe you could get a promo code from head office to give out for people who want to try the new Gianni out. We're going to push it hard next week because there's basically on the Mount Rushmore of sports betting. So I do want to get it. I do want to get into that. And I also want to have a discussion with you on ROI specifically, because I have a huge disagreement with my partners at WagerTalk about how we keep our ROI. I refuse to discuss ROI on this show. We have handicappers come on and say my ROI is 3 point whatever, 12 point, 17 point. I won't mention it because
good for you.
I think that the way WagerTalk does their ROI is totally incorrect. And I want to delve into that with you as well. So we're going to do that next week.
I'd love to.
Yeah.
So because we'll have time for a lot of those educational things. I love it, Prez. For the new year, I think that's a goal. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay, so here's what I want to talk. And again, this is an educational one, and it's specific to the NFL. Well, it's not specific to the NFL. It's specific to everything. But right now, we're in must-win mode in the NFL. You see all these huge syndicate bets all over the place. Some of the biggest money bets on the planet. You see them. You lay them. If there are 10 must-win teams, how many are being bet against? What are you seeing out there? Are you seeing people taking, Chicago, taking the Patriots this weekend?
No.
No. Is it the other way?
It's the other way around. From the recreational bettors, because they're not betting numbers, they're betting teams. You got to remember, you're sharp. Most of the people watching this, they're not watching this at 9 a.m. Pacific time, 12:30 in the day after Christmas, because they don't know a thing or two about betting. Most people that are watching this are sharp. They're not new to this. They know when they're doing the right thing. They know when they're doing the wrong thing. We all fight those same demons. But it's the 99% that we're talking about, Prez, that just they bet numbers. I mean, they bet teams. They don't bet numbers. They're the ones that the sports books make most of the money from. They're not making it from the guys watching this show. They're not making it from the guys on this show. They're making it from that 99%. I'm telling you now. And those guys are betting these must-win teams because they're fans of the teams. They're fans of the sport. And they approach betting as fans. They're not approaching it as investors, as traders. And that's fine. And that's why they're betting those must-win teams, even after the line moves. Yesterday at 7, I can tell you, watching the bets come in, that's what I did. I needed to see it with my own eyes. Watching the bets come in at -7, and it was still 10-1, 11-1 in favor of Baltimore. It didn't even matter whether it was -6 or -7. They were still betting it. And I think you're going to see the same thing with Seattle today. I don't think that's going to change, Prez.
Let's get into some college football, Gianni. We got 3 games going today. We got the Game Above Sports Bowl, the Rate Sports Bowl, and the Ventures Sports Bowl. We also have just horrible namers. But that's a different topic, one that I do mention on a regular basis because I just can't understand these stupid names. Anyway, whatever. Who cares? What are you seeing? What are you hearing? What do we need to know?
And no surprise, the sharp money came in on Toledo right away. They bet him at +9.5. They bet him all the way down to +7. That's the last bet I actually placed, +7 on the Toledo side. And it kind of makes sense. I mean, you have Pittsburgh hasn't won a game since October. That's correct. They didn't win a game in November. They haven't won a game in December. So why are they laying so many points? They're 2 7-5 teams. Obviously, it's strength of schedule matters. Obviously, Pittsburgh's the better team, the bigger name school overall. But the sharp money is on the dog. Most of the betting public hasn't really gotten involved. Not much action I'm seeing in the back end so far on this game. It's the second game that's getting more of the public money, and it's getting two-way. I'm seeing just as much Kansas State money as I'm seeing Rutgers money. I think if I'm a sports book, I probably would prefer to see the Rutgers side come in, but it isn't as one-sided as you would expect for a favorite like Kansas State. They are getting more of the money, but it isn't a ton of the money. And in the final game, it's the Bowling Green game. We saw a big line move here. They've gone up to double-digit favorites, and more importantly, that total got bet up from like 49 all the way to 54, 55. I'll tell you this. There was some guys that did bet that over, obviously, early. That's why it got bet up. Since then, though, the sharp money has come in on the under. That's why you started seeing that line come back down on Bowling Green. Total. You got to remember, a lot of these bets, sides and totals, are bet early, weeks in advance sometimes in these bowl games. As we approach game day, there's injuries, there's holdouts, there's weather, so that tends to change. This is one of those games where I saw the opinion change significantly, meaning smaller bets were placed on the over early, but the big bets came in today on the under, like 3, 4, 5x the amount. So the under is definitely the sharper side. I haven't seen any resistance on Arkansas State, Prez, so far. That's surprising. Usually when you get a -6.5, 7 all the way to 10, you're going to see it back to 9.5 a little bit before it goes back up, kind of like Bitcoin, kind of like stocks. You know, it's got to consolidate a little bit before another step up. If it comes back, retraces a little. This hasn't retraced at all. It just keeps going up, 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 up. I think maybe at 11 you'll see some resistance, but there's been no takers on Arkansas State. It's been all Bowling Green from the sharp money, all Bowling Green from the public money. And the only difference is that the wise guys bailed the books out on the total because it would have been public favored and over. But they, like I said, they came in heavy on the under earlier today. That's pretty much what's going on with these 3 bowl games today so far, Prez.
Brilliant stuff. And we'll have Gianni tomorrow as well. And guys, on our Friday show, Gianni and I will literally go down every single NFL game that is happening this week, literally top to bottom. So make sure to stay with us for that. Also, quick public service announcement. Our NBA tip-off show will not be live today. It has already been taped. Andy and Ralph break down a whole bunch of games alongside Joe Ranieri. Please check that out over at our channel, WagerTalk.tv. And Gianni, speaking of NBA, there's a big slate going today. I had a beautiful night last night in the NBA, won both. Nothing better than taking a plus 8.5 Philadelphia 76ers dog.
Me too.
And just, oh, you had it as well?
Yeah.
I love when they win outright, dude. It makes no difference. Like the books don't give you any extra money when your plus 8.5 wins outright, but the feeling inside is excellent, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And yes, I had two dogs yesterday too. It was Minnesota and the Sixers.
That's what
those
I had.
came through for me as well.
No. I had both of those. Those are my
I'm
two
going to give you one
NBA
today.
games.
I'm going to give you one today. It's not none of the groups or anything like this. I've been selecting little NBA myself. I've been very selective with it. I got one for you. Ready? Road. I think they're about a 1-point dog or 1-point favorite. Take the Miami Heat over Orlando. Miami on the road gets the win at Orlando. I mean, it's a 1-point game. Doesn't even matter what the spread is. But yeah, I like the Heat. I like the Heat a lot in this game over Orlando. Orlando coming off that big win against Boston. Take the Heat.
And Bam Adebayo under in 3-pointers. He is 0 for 24 against Orlando in 3-pointers. Never hit one in 24 tries. That's an Andy Lang trend. That is an Andy Lang trend for you guys. Everybody, if you don't mind taking a second out of your day and hitting the like button, that would be really greatly appreciated. Lawrence Brown writes, are your plays a percentage of bankroll? How often do you reset your bankroll? So I want to answer that super quick, but these are the topics that Gianni and I are going to really roll our sleeves up in the new year and go through. I personally bet a percentage of my bankroll, and I bet roughly around 2% of my bankroll on every play. I do reset my bankroll, and I reset it every Monday. Gianni, anything to add to that?
Yeah, because of the volume that I fire, I would only adjust my bankroll based on the increase or the decrease. Because it just moved too much daily and weekly, I did it like this. If it increased by 50%, I was ready to increase my bet size. If it decreased by 50%, I was ready to decrease my bet size. It made it harder to recover the losses because now you got to win 2x that amount, but it helped me slow down digging that hole when I was going negative. That's what worked out for me, like not adjusting it on the week because there's just too much volatility when you bet the volume that I do.
Right.
Now, with lower volume, I think you do need to adjust a lot more often like Prez does, because you don't want to be over betting your bankroll. You don't want to be over betting your edge. And when you're betting a higher percentage, like 2%, it's going to fluctuate. Like you go 4-0, a 2% bets, all of a sudden you increase your bankroll by 8%. You do that 3-4 days in a row, you get hot. Now you've increased your bankroll by 20-25%. Yeah, it's time to readjust some bet sizing. I agree 100%. But when you're betting like I was doing 0.25%, it's not going to adjust bankroll too significantly in any short-term run. So I didn't have to as often. With the 2025 coming along in lower volume, I'll have to do that as well. So I love that approach because when you're hot, you got to adjust it. When you're cold, you got to adjust it. And the lower the volume, the more often you need to adjust it. I agree with you 100%. I think you should stick to that.
Guys, Gianni gave out a client play in the Miami-Orlando game. Andy gave out a client play in the Miami-Orlando game, so I will give out a client play in the Miami-Orlando game. Me and my clients are taking the over, 208.5, over the total in Miami and Orlando, and let's hope that Bam does not hit a 3 to add to that total. Gianni, thanks for doing this with me, brother. We'll see you tomorrow, right?
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me. I will be on tomorrow again. And tomorrow's Friday, actually. These days are coming out of nowhere. So have your NFL ready. I'll have mine as well, brother. And let's share some gold for the people. And thank you. Thank you for your time. Hope you guys had a nice holiday, excellent Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate. I hope you had a great holiday. And looking forward to this week, brother, and the new year ahead.
You got it.
Let's do some damage.
Gianni The Greek.
Thank you.
Everyone. Guys, thanks so much for watching. Again, please, we got an incredible promo up. Holiday 25, 25% off any package. I've asked you guys to please play me for the next 7 days. Just go get that $99 all access pass. Use Holiday 25. Get 25% off of it. You get my next 7 days. I got 2 NBAs, an NFL, a college football, all going tonight. I got an absolute gigantic slate of bets over the next 7 days, and I am on the cusp of something big. So please, Holiday 25, take advantage of that promo code. Grab my 7 days. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Kick ass tonight.